Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting on 30 October 2012. We have two parts to our session tonight. The first segment is a tax classification hearing, and then we'll follow that with our regular Board of Selectmen meeting. To begin, let me read the notice regarding the tax classification hearing as published. Selectmen and assessors will hold a tax classification hearing on Tuesday, October 30th at 6 p.m. in the Council on Aging Office, Town Hall, 59 Main Street. After a public hearing, selectmen must determine the allocation of the tax levy for various property classes, whether to make a tax burden shift from the open space class to residential class, whether to grant a residential exemption of up to 10% of the average value of all owner-occupied properties, and whether to grant a commercial exemption of up to 10% to certain small commercial properties. And this was a legal notice published in the Daily Hampshire Gazette. As process, I suggest you could make your presentation now concerning each of the items and your recommendations, and then we'll simply follow with our votes.
Okay. We're going to have Jenny read our recommendations too.
Okay.
The assessor's recommendations. The Board of Assessors recommends that a factor of 1 be adopted for fiscal year 13. This will keep a single tax rate for all classes of property in Hatfield. The Board of Assessors recommends that no open space discount be granted for fiscal year 13. The Board of Assessors recommends that no residential exemption be granted for fiscal year 13. The Board of Assessors recommends that no small commercial exemption be granted for fiscal year 13.
Wish to discuss further any items or recommendations?
Pardon?
Do you wish to discuss?
No, we'd like you to consider them as presented, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go with a single
Classification for the property classes for fiscal year
Right here.
2013. Do you want to vote the whole thing, or each one's got to be separate? I believe each one's
Each
got to be
one's
separate.
Is there a motion that a single tax rate classification be adopted for fiscal year 13 with a factor of 1?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion that no open space discount be granted for fiscal year 13?
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion that no residential exemption be granted for fiscal year 13?
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion that no commercial exemption be granted for fiscal year 13?
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close the hearing.
And actually, you all signed it.
Motion made to close the hearing, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. This is quick.
I wish we could do everything else like this. Thank you.
Can we just sign it anywhere,
Yeah.
Jenny?
I just need 2 signatures.
Okay.
I need it.
We used to, when we did this before, we used to just vote single class rate for all of them. But I guess now we have to do each one separately the next couple of years.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good
Your
evening.
meeting is short. Short term.
Behave. At this time, we'll shift to the Board of Selectmen meeting. Begin with some public announcements, and I've got several that I'd like to cover first of all, and then we'll open the floor to anyone else that has something to say. Again, election 6 November, and certainly you're all encouraged to vote. One item I'd like to mention again is your representative to the Hampshire Council of Governments. That is their change to the charter, and I reviewed last time the elements of that. It's simply a series of administrative changes, and I would hope you'd support that particular charter update. The last Board of Selectmen meeting was not televised, and I'd just like to cover a couple of the items that we went over. Among other things, we had Todd Ford in here, who's the Executive Director of the Hampshire Council of Governments, and he discussed existing programs in which the town is participating and outlined some others that we might be interested in. And we had some discussion about possible additional things that the Hampshire Council of Governments might look at in terms of regional services. Mark Gillott and Peter Cox from the Open Space Committee were both here also. Covered two topics with them. First, an initiative that they choose to undertake to improve the former site of the Smith Academy adjacent to the town hall as a park, and they're working up some kind of proposal in that respect, and they're also, of course, working with the Smith Academy trustees. And the second area of discussion concerned a proposed citizens' donation of land and related issues of access. And again, we've had prior discussion on this, and they've gone back to work a little more diligently with some of the abutters. The board, a couple years back, the town meeting accepted legislation to provide for a senior work-off property tax work-off program for seniors in the community. And at the last board meeting, we approved a policy to implement that program, and it'd be for seniors and be effective next fiscal year, and there'll be more to come in terms of announcements. And then there was a report on a visit by Jim Masick of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, along with members of our housing authority, and we, along with town administrator and some others, we toured the center school, had some discussions, giving Jim some flavor of its condition and size and those kinds of things. And coincidentally, we got word that there was some potential for an economic development grant associated with exploring or doing a market analysis concerning the center school, and Jim has taken on to draft up a grant proposal for the town to continue to try and explore uses for center school.
I'd like to,
Ed, did you have?
yeah, I'd like to add, like to thank everyone for the being patient over the storm this last few days. We're having a problem with the CTY getting out to some of the people. Some of the calls are not going through. Some people are getting duplicate. We are looking into the fact of what's going on there, so we can make it a better system and find out exactly what's causing it. So I just wanted to give everybody an update. So if you didn't receive a message, you should have. But I myself didn't receive a message, and I know they went out. So we are looking into that, what's causing the problem.
Yeah, there were two things. One, as someone who did receive a partial message and then it just dropped off and about halfway through, I'm supposed to get it, for example, both on a cell phone and on a home phone.
Mm-hmm.
Came in partial on a cell phone, dropped off, and then never came on the home phone. So,
And there was also, some people got two calls. One call came from an automated voice, and the other one came from our director's voice.
okay.
So there was a couple of things going on there. We're not sure what happened, but we have to get in touch with the people that are dealing with this
Connect.
here. Yeah, come out and find out what's going on here. Other than
Anything
that, we thank you all for being patient, and fortunately the storm wasn't what we thought it was going to be, but we were all prepared and ready to go for it. DPW was out and about, and I know they had some tree limbs to be removed from the highways and stuff like that, but other than that, I don't believe there's any major problems. So,
Right.
thank you all.
Thank you. Did you have any public announcements?
No.
Community forum?
Yes.
Dave, did you?
Take the microphone.
Mr. Dave Biddle of the Energy Committee.
I'm a member of the Energy Committee and been involved in this kind of thing for quite a while. I'd like to read you a letter that the Energy Committee's put together about the zoning bylaw concerning solar power in Hatfield. It's come to our attention that the Selectmen are being asked by the Planning Board to appoint a committee to study and propose a new zoning bylaws with regard to installations of solar energy in Hatfield. On October 17th, members of a group of abutters who are opposed to a solar farm on Chestnut Street asked that they be included as members of this committee. We, the Energy Committee, ask that you conclude that this would be an ill-considered idea for the following reasons. These same abutters have filed a lawsuit against the town. And the suit asks for two basic things. Town Attorney William O'Neill said first that the court prevent the building inspector from issuing a permit for this project, and second, that construction of the solar array not take place on that property. Appointment of these litigants, the Energy Committee believes, would be a direct conflict of interest in light of both state and town zoning bylaw, and would imply that the landowner or any landowner is not entitled to the right to legally use or lease their own property. Now, another issue here that we consider very important is the town already has an Energy Committee whose charter states that they are to assist and advise all town boards with regards to energy issues and policy. Past precedent would suggest that the job of proposing energy policy or bylaw should be the work of this committee. For both master plans of 1987 and 2001, committees such as Industrial Development, Open Space, Conservation, and other established committees contributed proposed zoning bylaws. At the Planning Board hearing on September the 5th, Planning Board Chair Mr. Bartlett asked the Energy Committee Chair, at that point it was Mr. Smith, to begin work on solar zoning bylaws. At the next Energy Committee meeting on September 19th, the committee began to review the nearby town's solar zoning bylaws in an effort to compose comprehensive and unbiased regulations based on factual and scientific information in the best interest of the whole town. The Energy Committee is proud to announce that we've completed this work at our meeting on October 29th, yesterday. A copy of a proposed solar zoning bylaw has been given to the town administrator and is ready to go to the Planning Board for review and public hearings. Education is also an important part of the process in developing solar PV zoning bylaw, an important requisite of the Energy Committee charter. The increase of large ground-mount solar energy arrays, while not a new concept, has grown substantially in the last 2 years. We are fortunate that communities such as Whately, Northampton, Greenfield, East Hampton, Hadley, Amherst as well, have successfully developed solar PV zoning bylaws. Perhaps more importantly, there's a great amount of scientific information and facts to address issues of safety, health, property valuation, and other concerns that can counter unfounded fears through unbiased education. As other communities have already found, these installations, encouraged by state and federal incentives, will bring us all many benefits, such as, but not limited to, safe, reliable, clean energy and new tax revenue. In summary, the Selectmen already have a committee to address energy issues in Hatfield, the Energy Committee. And as an aside, I might mention the Energy Committee's had a lot of success. We helped the town become a GCA and get the grant money, which was well spent last year. I love that electric truck. I sold mine to some friend of mine, but maybe we can get a deal on that from him. Anyway, the Energy Committee is successful at getting the town grants, becoming a Green Communities Act designee, becoming the selected Western Mass representative for the Solarized Hatfield, 1 out of 4 in the state, the Sunshot program by the DOER, 1 out of 5. And time is also a concern, as the Selectmen want town meeting articles to be ready for January 23rd, which is very close by. Energy policy, especially solar energy, is important for our town's and country's future. To achieve a set of proposed, unbiased solar PV bylaws based on facts and scientific input, the prudent course of action is to use the committee that was created for this purpose, has the expertise, and represents the whole community. Please, sincerely, the Energy Committee. Mike Pashik is now the chairman. Chris Smith is the clerk. And the other members are Darrell Williams, Frank Motika, and David Biddle. And we would like your consideration of this, this question, and we have a copy. We've given you, I believe you all have copies of the proposed
We do now, yes.
solar bylaw.
Thank you very much.
I'd just
Thank
like to
you.
make one comment, Dave.
Sure.
I don't normally comment on this type of the announcement, public announcement or whatever, but this one here, it is coming up in our minutes that we did take take the advice, or we are looking into taking the advice of the planning board to take 2 people from the Energy Committee, 2 people from the public, 2 people from the Conservation Commission, and 2 people, and 1 person from the planning board. So it's a diversified board,
It's
So-
diluting the expertise.
including yours for
Mhm.
one, and Darrell Williams,
Okay.
okay? So we're looking at both sides, and, you know, I mean, that's something we're looking at. I don't know how the meeting's gonna go, but I feel that at least I understand about the Energy Committee, but the Energy Committee, if you really look at it, is one-sided, looking just for the energy part. They're not looking at the other side to see what can happen on the other side. So you need the diversity in there to get both sides to come up with a good resolution. That's all I have to say.
The answer, Dave, is we've made no decision.
What is that?
We've not acted on it.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate your
I
input,
figured you
and
hadn't, but I.
We'll consider,
A
certainly
strong
consider.
statement of
I
what the
understand.
Energy Committee is, and we actually brought you a solar bylaw.
Un-
It's ready to go.
I understand.
And I hope that you can find your way clear to just go ahead with the solar bylaw,
Yes.
okay?
Thank you
But
very
I
much.
understand the politics of the situation, and I wouldn't want to be in your shoes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to
Yes,
approve
motion-
minutes? of-
Motion to approve October 2nd, and I have one correction on October 2nd's minutes
Okay, second, I have a whole
for
bunch of them. too.
discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
Under Town Hall Garage, the very last end of it, of the sentence, it should be where, let's see, Selectman Lesko said all you have to do is hit the button and these drawings can all have dimensions on them, okay? And not, can all be to scale. It can be set to scale at that point in time with, written on the drawing, but, you know, it can have dimensions on them. They are all drawn to scale, 1/4 inch to the foot. Jeff, you've got some?
Yeah. If you allow, I just have a couple of editorial things, like
Sure.
beginning of the sentence with a capital letter, that kind of stuff,
Oh.
which I'll just give to Key
Okay, that's
apart
fine.
from this, but
If there's no direct changes in the wording, just punctuation, then that's fine.
I did have one. On page 4, on the DPW reports, middle of page, we have the vote, but I don't see there the fact that you seconded it and we voted. This
Okay.
is invoice from Rain or Door. Then we down to town administrator, provide guidance, all departments coordinate facility work through DPW. Selectmen, Lesko said unless an emergency, but there's no reflection of our vote.
Move the town administrator guidance, provide guidance that all department coordinate work through DPW. Is that the one we're in?
Yeah,
Okay. Selectman Lesko said unless in an emergency.
but you seconded.
I second
I
that.
thought we
Yeah.
voted the,
Okay, so Selectman Lesko seconded that. That should
and
be
vote
placed in there.
was yes. And then I think there's a misstatement on, under old business on the last page. second paragraph under old business, second line, it says, Mr. Boudreau is the hiring authority. That I don't believe, well, it's an incorrect, but the Board of Selectmen is the hiring authority, but is that what he said, Chairman Adamski?
This is in regards
I don't
to-
know, I don't recall.
Assistant
what he
treasurer
said.
position, which we'll act
Oh,
on tonight.
No, that's not right.
Okay.
It's the board.
Well, I'd suggest we just scratch that
Yeah.
phrase in that sentence.
Then
right here.
from Mr. Boudreau is the hiring authority?
Yeah, just Chairman Adamski said Mr. Boudreau is the hiring authority,
He
period.
should interview, that's taken out,
Yeah, just drop
just
that.
strike it.
Subject to those changes,
Okay.
motion to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
aye. I'll move that I have one change on the October 16th one also, so we should probably go into change first. On page 7, the third paragraph down, okay, where it says advance of $50 and is asking the board to approve at this time for this one-time cash advance. The way it sounds is like we're asking the board to come up with that $50 and it's to approve. It's for the approval of it.
Okay. Any other?
And that's all I have.
Uh,
So I'll move that we accept
Okay.
the minutes of October 16th with the one change, one correction.
Second, I have a couple other edits. On page 2, the minutes, under Michael, line 2, it's the West Hatfield well, not the Hatfield well.
Okay?
And there's some other, just editorial, I'll pass the key. Army Corps of Engineers, that's another one, we'll. Oh, and then one more substantive on page 6. Under budget process, line 3, it's budgets are due the 14th of December, not warrant articles.
In some cases, T, it's not, it's what you heard. Sometimes it's our wording that's off.
Heaven forbid, we're unclear.
When the meetings are that long, sometimes you can say one thing and mean another. We apologize if we pick up on some of that stuff.
Okay, Mr. Bartlett was supposed to be here tonight. Is he coming, as far as you know?
Mr. Bartlett was supposed to be here tonight. He was supposed to be arriving today. He's not here. I can only assume that his flight was interrupted due to the storm, so I have not heard from him.
Why don't we just give him a few more minutes and then we'll go on to something else and come back to.
I'll
Could I
move
make
that
a
we are,
suggestion?
Surely.
Since we have some Energy Committee members here, talk about the energy plan.
Sure.
okay, I want to finish up this here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I move that we accept the October 16th minutes with the corrections from Jeff and I.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Mike, I should come on over and join us for a minute, if you could. This is a target of opportunity.
Well, and I can respond by saying that we haven't discussed this at all, so.
Okay, here's the charge.
We've been working on this bylaw, so we haven't
Okay.
had an opportunity to discuss this at all.
Okay, well, there's two things. One, I assume you're helping the town administrator put together the annual report, or quarterly, is it quarterly report? Due
Well,
October November
It's
30th?
an annual report.
The annual report due November 30th. And the second thing is, we really need to get back and take another look at the whole plan. A lot of it was contingent on the town buying into the major renovation or restoration of the town hall. That didn't pass, and so, and I think we took, wasn't it 2008, Chris, that we took as the baseline? Yeah, so it's 5 years. We're supposed to have achieved a 20% energy reduction 2008 to 2013, so we're real close. So it's so it's look. We really are looking to the Energy Committee to help revisit the overall 5-year plan and help with some late changes to help us achieve that reduction, or to whatever reduction we can achieve possibly between now and the end of
Well, I have a
2013.
question.
Yeah.
I have a question. I believe the energy plan was adopted in 2010.
But our start date for it, we were able to pick a start date.
Okay,
It was
so,
you could pick a favorable one. They picked 2008
Okay.
for whatever the reasons were. So 5 years
okay.
locks up.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. We, again, we've been working on the bylaw, and, we still have to, we're still trying to work with PVPC on the Sunshot,
Yeah.
but we're not getting very far with that. So,
Why is that?
why is that?
Yeah. But
Because they're incompetent. Because we could have done it a lot better ourselves if we'd been given the opportunity. So, the gentleman that I've been playing phone tag with, has, proposed we do a sit-down, which we're gonna try to do. But quite frankly, their input is really going to be what we regurgitate back to them. So I don't believe, it'll have value for the community, but just going through them as a middle step, really, I think there could have been a better solution. But anyway, that was the decision that was made. That was not our decision. That was you
Yes.
guys made that decision, so we'll just have to work with it. And
so are you suggesting that we're not fully participating under the grant and providing the representation at the various meetings or input to?
I get a lot of
various-
emails from the people at Sunshot,
Mhm.
and they haven't really heard that much from PVPC. Not at all. So, that's all I know.
Okay.
Can we have Paul get a call
Yeah.
into him
Yep.
and find out exactly what's going on?
Yeah, I certainly will.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for the heads up, Mike.
But, as far as the energy plan review goes, we'll have to get together and dig into that. But again, as Mr. Bill said, we want to be full participants in this, bylaw.
Understand.
So, as long as you guys understand that.
Okay, and
Anything else?
yeah, well, I'd like to circle back with them on the rework of the plan at some point here.
Yeah, well,
Not too far down the line.
we'll have to get together, and then we'll get some dates out
Okay,
where we can all meet together,
okay.
okay?
Okay, how about the new, applying for more grant money for the upcoming year?
Well, that'll be part of it.
Okay.
That's
That's
what we're
part of
trying to
it.
do.
Right.
So,
You want some more money?
We want more money. We want more money. We also want to take a look at the projects that we had not done, and I know like the rest of the town hall windows and stuff that are not done, that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
yeah. And I see
Always something.
you're gonna be talking about the renovation of this building later tonight,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
I may have not been available at the time, but when during the process with when you did have the architecture firm on board.
Yes,
um,
Kelly Old Antioch.
Yeah, I don't remember us being invited in to work on that. So if you guys, if you do go out to another architectural firm or whatever you do, if we could be a part of the process, that would be appreciated.
Well, I believe, I know that when they did the drawings, they made it so it was right up to the stretch code.
Yeah.
Okay, that was
Okay.
definite. Okay, so the only thing that wasn't up to stretch code and they had to redesign was the big meeting room that was gonna be left the same way without insulating the outside wall. But they said they could compensate by putting in more insulation and doing other things to achieve that goal. So that would be the only thing that they couldn't, because we wanted to keep it as natural as possible from the early years
You mean with the brick walls,
with the brick walls. That's correct.
not frame it out and insulate it?
Not frame it out. And they said that they could take and they could get the R value a different place. And that's what was done.
Okay.
Anyway, well, that
Yeah.
plan- that
I
plan
mean,
was
that's
done.
what was done on, I'm
That
talking
plan was-
about
that's
the
the
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
All
On the
right, well,
plan.
Okay.
appreciate hearing back. Well, Paul will be getting back with you. We can schedule something on a
Yeah,
update.
well, we'll
on
be
the
seeing
overall
each
plan.
other a lot, so,
Capital planning, yeah.
yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much. Town Hall Garage?
Think of Phil? Garage?
Well, at our last meeting, we discussed separating the project into a couple phases, so that's, I guess, the road we're looking to take. We haven't really done too much on it, but that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to move on that police department first. That way we can relocate the police out of the basement, and then when we go to construct the rest of that project with the fire department ambulance combined, we can move the ambulance director into the police department facilities down here because he's going to need office space. So that's the way we're looking to go forward.
Okay, and timelines?
We hope to start doing something next week as far as getting some numbers together. So hopefully it'll be next week. I've been concentrating on getting the window project finished, so that's the next on the checklist.
Town Hall Garage, or Town Hall renovation?
Yes. Yeah, we put out a request for qualifications a few weeks back, and the deadline for submittals was a couple of weeks ago. And we received 7 proposals, and I've assembled a designer selection committee, and we are going to be meeting on this Thursday afternoon to go over the proposals and pick a finalist.
Okay.
And in terms of the way this works, from establishing the fee that the architect will get, it's to be negotiated, and the process is, okay, your first finalist, if you can't come to agreement with them, then you go to the next one. If you can't come to agreement with them, then you go to the next one. If you can't come to agreement with them, you start all over again. But hopefully, we'll be able to wrap this up fairly quickly.
Well, I mean, typically it's a percentage of the project.
Right.
That's what the
Yeah,
fee is, so it's pretty.
it's typically,
So you know-
8 to 12% of the project cost is considered by the state to be,
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay, so next Thursday we ought to have
Mm-hmm.
some action.
Okay, I'd like to bring up a couple
Sure.
things, Chip. In our minutes there, of, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we talked about hiring an individual to do carpentry work and stuff like that. We voted on that, and then, Paul, you and Phil were supposed to get together and see exactly what job elements it would be for the employee and come back with the information on moving forward on that. And also go back to Mark Gillette to see if he can finalize the plans, which I think he did. And then we also talked about guidelines for a new employee to work with Mr. Genovese and Mr. Boudreau. Where are we at with that?
Well, Phil had mentioned at that meeting that, that Westfield, or I think, yeah, Westfield, had put out a bid for,
Trades.
for trade work. So I asked Phil to, contact Westfield and get a copy of their proposal, which he did. So I have a copy of that, and have looked it over and started reworking it. But I just want to make a clarification about that. That proposal is for maintenance and repair work for projects under $10,000. So this is something that we need to do anyways. But once you get over the $10,000 threshold, you're into another realm. So we should do this anyways, but it's only for small scale projects. Any other types of projects, we're going to have to go through the bidding process. So I'm working on this, but I don't think this is, it's only for repair and maintenance for small scale projects.
I'm not sure where we're at with this. It's like, it's very frustrating because you're trying to get a job done and you can't, no matter which way you turn, you can't get it done. Okay, without hiring somebody at $50 to $100 an hour.
Prevailing
and
wage.
for a job that's, okay, so it's just frustrating. I'd like to just see the job get done, but we also don't want to cross the lines either.
Budget meeting schedule, operating budget.
Well, it kind of, so the purpose of this was to come up with some meeting dates, but with Jan not being here, I see that as being rather difficult to do.
We were looking at Saturdays in January. Is that still good with you?
Saturdays in January should be okay with me.
Why don't you work with the
Okay.
Finance Committee to try and lock down a
Okay.
couple of Saturdays in
Yeah,
Right.
and I'll,
in January, and let's
I'll talk to Jan.
knock it out and get it done and
Okay.
move on. And if Jan's available, great, but we've got, some of the weeks are
Just
just
have him come up
too
with some dates.
too filled now.
You never know when there's going to be a storm in January either.
Oh,
and
that's
he's going to have
that's
to go to
absolutely
it.
right, yeah.
But we also got to move forward on it.
Interim town treasurer. Actually, we have, I thought, 2 appointments to be making here tonight.
Yes, yeah, the other one got added as an afterthought.
Okay. I would move to appoint pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 40, Mrs. Edwina Palmacero as interim town clerk for the period 1 April 2013 through 21 May 2013, or if there is a failure to elect, until such time as the position is otherwise filled.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. And what we're doing here, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, our town clerk, Louise Lish, is retiring, and so we're going ahead and filling her 2 hats on an interim basis until election in next May. And a failure to elect these people will continue on until there was someone elected and put in position. Second, I move to approve pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 40, the appointment of Mr. C. Gregory Winters to the position of temporary town treasurer for the period 1 April 2013 through 21 May 2013, or if a failure to elect, until such time as the position is otherwise filled.
I'll second that motion.
Any
No
other
further
discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Good. Okay. Paul, you had, oh, I'm sorry, Phil? Your report?
I just want to thank Wilma for getting the notifications out for the Connecticut River project that's ongoing down there. The Conservation Commission, as well as Michael's group, far as notification of the public hearing for the project has gone out. I think that the landowners, the butters have been notified, as far as I know. I mean, we met with a few of them in the hallway the other day, so I'm sure they got the notice to proceed with that. So I want to thank her for doing the work on that. The storm, the window project, we're still waiting. We have one more window to go in the basement, and then the caulk. I have to caulk the outsides and put that sill piece in. With the weather, I'm sure he was busy doing other things this week, so hopefully he'll be here either at the end of next week or something, he said.
Is there any way they can get in here to put some insulation around the downstairs windows here, because the cold air just blows right in?
Yeah, I'll call him. I have to
So
talk to
you
him
should,
tomorrow anyway.
yeah,
so.
at least insulate them, okay? I know we can't do anything until, like, caulk the outside until the painting's done. So.
Right, yeah.
And when are they supposed to start the painting?
As soon as he comes in and starts the caulk, we're going to be right behind him because he's going to have his lift here, so.
Well, the painting would be first, and then the caulking would be
Well,
afterwards.
that's whatever, however it's going to work, that's how they're going to work it, so.
Okay.
The bid, just want to let everybody know that the bid through the HCOG for the salt was down $8 a ton this year, so
Great.
we did good on
Good.
as far as that goes. And as you know, we locked in the fuel prices way back when, so we're still way below market, so I think we did a pretty good job of forecasting what was out there, so.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, the storm went good, we were prepared, we exercised all the generators, and we were ready to go, and thank God it didn't come, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
First off, I've got a few housekeeping items that are not on the agenda, but have come to my attention within the past few days. One is a question about Thanksgiving. I guess typically, even though it's not an official holiday, the selectmen typically grant the day after Thanksgiving as a holiday. And folks have asked me whether the board is going to do that once again this year.
I don't have a problem with that.
Make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we give the day after Thanksgiving off to the town employees.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
The other related type question involves Christmas. Christmas falls on a Tuesday this year, and Christmas Eve is a half day. So the question has arisen, does the board want to keep Christmas Eve open for a half a day?
We didn't do Christmas, I know that in the past, if it fell during the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we didn't give any leeway, because we'd give it's a half a day before the holiday.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's, unless you want to say something different.
I'll stay with past practice. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have fallen into the trap to begin with, but
Okay.
Okay.
Just looking for clarification. And speaking of clarification, yeah, I've talked to both of you individually about this, but in terms of the protocol for closing town hall when we have, due to bad weather, currently it falls under the town administrator's purview, and we've discussed that since I live about an hour away, that's probably not the best place to have that responsibility. The weather out in the Berkshires can be significantly different from what it is here.
That's it.
So
I
I think we
mentioned
need to
it to Paul.
rethink that.
I mentioned it to Paul, and what my thought was is that any one of us selectmen can close the town hall.
I move to delete that responsibility from the assignment to the town administrator and revert it to the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that motion. And
Any other discussion?
any one of us, you don't need
Yeah.
two to close it. You just, if one sees that it's dangerous, then it's a closing, and
That
that's
sounds
so be
right
it.
to me.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Now, one thing on that, I certainly appreciate, and I know everyone else would, any comment from DPW, Chief of Police, others about road conditions or whatever. There's special things we should be aware of in making that decision locally. Obviously, we'll know about the area if there's some peculiar thing going on in town or something that we should be aware of. That would be helpful. Senior work-off?
Oh, actually, I got one more.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
One more pop-up here before we get to that. An appointment, and this is for, the board started to take action on this at the last meeting, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but this is for Carrie Flaherty for the Emergency
Okay,
Management
we're waiting
Commission.
on this. Motion to approve
Okay, go ahead.
appointment of Ms. Carrie Flaherty to the Emergency Management Planning Committee.
I'll second that motion.
For discussion, just, she's talking about Bob Donaldson's position,
Yeah,
but I thought Cindy took Bob Donaldson's
the
position.
position, when Bob went from director into the public sector, he was the,
Communication, public affairs.
Yeah, he's the one that dealt with the radios and
Yeah,
stuff,
public affairs,
communications.
yeah.
And Carrie does that for a living with her
Okay.
job, so that's why she's falling
Okay,
into that
I see.
category.
All right, all right.
That was the explanation.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Anything else?
Okay, getting back to the posted agenda, all I wanted to discuss on the senior work-off program was the policies that were adopted at the last meeting. There were a couple of questions about it, and I made some minor clarifications to it. So I thought that the board should, approve this modified policy.
Was that in our package?
Yep. There you go.
We talked about this in the introduction to tonight's program about policies with respect to instituting a senior work-off for property tax abatement. Available Hatfield residents over age 60 and a resident owned by them or their spouse. The hourly rate is set in law, Massachusetts law. It's a state minimum wage. Total number of program works are not to exceed $1,000 per fiscal year. No income restrictions. The maximum real estate reduction per fiscal year under the program is $1,000 per household. Positions must be approved by the Board of Selectmen. Various town offices can identify position requirements or job opportunities, and they be responsible for providing supervision and maintaining the required records and providing them to the individual as well as the Board of Assessors and the taxpayer. And the town administrator will come up with an application form that we issue for folks. And
Thought we had one more on here, Jeff, that we, I think you proposed it, but I didn't see it on here, that where a family member, if they couldn't, if the person 60 and older couldn't perform that duty, that a
Yeah.
family member could do that?
That
has
has
to
to go
be-
to town meeting.
we have to first, this has already, what we're doing here has already been through town meeting and approved. The legislature this past time changed or modified it so that we can adopt another
Okay,
part of the law
so we need to
that would
adopt.
permit,
Yeah.
say you had a senior that was confined to bed, unable to actually do the work themselves, a family member on their behalf could work
Okay.
for them under this senior work-off program.
And that's an article,
But
that's,
that'll
that
be,
would require
that's
an
on our
article.
list of
Okay.
articles
Yeah.
to
Okay.
present to town meeting.
Mhm.
And the other one is a veterans work-off program, which parallels this, which is another one that town meeting can adopt should it choose to do so, and it's on our list to consider.
okay, good.
But I move to approve the policies as outlined.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's approved.
Okay, next on the list is the Comcast contract, which I was hoping I might have some news on, but I had still not gotten a signed copy back from them. I did send our contact their email a couple weeks ago. He said it's in their office and is being reviewed. I would have thought I would have gotten it by now, but obviously there's some other actions that need to take place with all that, but until I get that signed contract,
Okay.
I won't be moving on any of them.
Okay.
As far as the COOP is concerned, our emergency management director is taking the lead on that. Just within the last week or so, she's distributed a form to all department heads and employees for them to fill out with all the the required material for the COOP plan, essential duties, all that sort of stuff. So.
Did they hold the initial orientation for various boards?
Not yet, no. No. I mean, well, we did have that one meeting, but I
That
think
was for us.
Yeah, that was for, yeah.
They were supposed to go back and hold comparable meeting for others, so
Yeah,
they
that-
know what
that-
they're doing. Yes, Darryl.
Maybe for the general public, can you just explain what COOP
Continuity of operations plan, what it is,
for the television? Thank you.
actually, we've covered this in an earlier meeting and had some folks from the state.
Okay, I have Alzheimer's. And
No, you don't. What we're doing is talking about a continuity of operations plan, and it's a standard thing in state, federal agencies, military, and other organizations. And what it is providing for backups under a variety of circumstances for either people who may, for one reason or another, be unable to be there to perform their duties in some situation, who would then perform for them, providing backup for things such as your information technology, your infrastructure. It goes down, how do you operate? You don't have access to the town hall or your key facilities. What are your backup plans to relocate the staff and to function in a different location? It's communications, say your communications are down, okay, how do you operate? What's your backup plan? So it's continuity of operations, continuing operations under a whole series of various adverse
Emergency
scenarios.
conditions, right.
Okay, thank you.
The last
Well,
item.
the key thing is, as we talked about when MEMA was here and Bill Belden and others were here, they need to hold that first session with various offices, just as Gerald was suggesting, so they know what continuity of operations plan's all about before they're asked to fill
Right,
out.
and how to
fill out a
fill out the
form.
form.
I'll
right,
fill it out,
exactly.
yeah.
They might not even know what COOP means.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true, yeah. So I did make a
So
copy of the
that's
form.
a starting
for
point,
you.
and
Yeah,
and
it's a s-
fill it out afterward.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, the last thing.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.
The last item that I have is just on performance evaluations. I haven't had a chance to talk to all the department heads about this, but talked to DPW and police and the fire department, and they all say that, the process is ongoing. I know the fire chief specifically said he plans on, starting early this winter. So, it appears to be moving along, and
Well, the initial
no one has indicated that there's any, issues thus far.
But the initial discussions for the reporting period should occur, or have occurred by now. We're already in November.
We
for
have the
fiscal year
forms for
13. We're
everybody to follow?
almost halfway through the
Yes.
year,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
and well, what would be helpful from each department, a little scoreboard. How many folks do you have? How many initial discussions have been completed? So we'll have some metric to see where this thing stands. If we're going to all the trouble to do this, then let's do it and get it done.
That's all I
It'll
have.
drift to the end of the year, and we'll still be talking about it unless we do something like that.
Jeff, I've
Yes,
got
sir.
something in our package here. We've got, has something to do with licensing for liquor licenses, and that the establishment has to be inspected, and that we've got to get an inspection certificate anytime we renew a license. So we got to make sure, I don't know
Bill.
if Bill and Stanley
the building inspector and the,
Is this a new requirement?
this is a new requirement, that they have to inspect the establishment and certify that it is up and running, and that it complies with the law.
Okay.
Okay, so I think you should give that to
Yeah.
everybody involved and make sure that they are aware of that. So when the time comes when we issue permits, that there's no,
Okay. Did we have a copy of this?
All right.
just want to make sure Stanley and Bill know about it.
Okay, yeah, will do, will do.
Okay.
I don't mean to keep all of you waiting. Bob Bartlett was supposed to be here tonight. He's the one that proposed that we act on this matter concerning the solar bylaw. We've heard Dave's presentation on behalf of the board. In fairness to Bob, I'd like to give him an opportunity to present his case since he's the one recommending it. So
On behalf of the planning board.
I hate to do this, but I'd like
Can
to. Go ahead.
we have some conversation?
Sure.
Just simply because back in September, he specifically instructed us to do the,
Chris, could you come up to the
get
mic?
up to the mic, please?
I think what I'd just like to say is that I think as a committee, we're confused.
Sure.
On September 5th, he specifically, when this was brought up by the abutters, where's the zoning bylaw and so on, some of us were at that meeting, and Mr. Bartlett looked right at me and said, could you guys get started on this? So we've been working on it for the last 6 weeks. We knuckled down. We did a good job. We looked at 5 towns. We've talked with Dave Elvin at PVPC. And all of a sudden, this is coming out of where? Apparently some abutters met with the planning board and said, we want to form a committee. Now, let's get serious,
Well,
and past history, if I could just point out, and Dave and Elvin will back this up, it's the energy committee in every town that does these solar bylaws. The other factor is that past precedent says that committees that have something to do with the subject are the ones that break. Now, bear in mind that it's the start. We've put together these bylaws based on work of 5 other towns. Dave Elvin says he'll jump in and look at it if we can pay him. We don't have a budget, but you guys could do that.
No, well, just
Okay.
not to digress for a second. I honestly thought Dave Elvin was in the middle of
Well,
this whole
and
thing
I still think
under the
that.
grant that we already have.
I did too, but he told me that it wouldn't cover this.
Well,
apparently.
I'm gonna dig into that a little more.
Okay, and if
Yeah.
it does,
Okay.
great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
great, because I
No,
supplied
you
him.
don't have a budget, I
Yeah, I
understand.
know, because I've supplied him with
He told me
this.
that all he's concerned about is roofs. What,
Oh, yeah.
what solar goes on roofs.
Mm.
What he's concerned about is the guidelines in the Sunshine Grant, that's it. They're not, they
It doesn't address
they
this
haven't
type of a
contracted-
project.
They haven't contracted with anyone to do this work.
Mm.
Right,
So-
well, and we haven't really talked to them about that yet. They haven't reached out to us, unless they've reached
Well,
out to
we'll
us.
sort that out, Mike.
Anyway, just that, again, we did this work.
I understand.
We've done it just like every other town has done it. It's the start of the process. Now it goes to hearings. Abutters can now come in and make adjustments. Conservation people can come in, make adjustments, all of that done. Why start over again? You guys want something by January 23rd.
Right,
There
we've got
should
a
be
public
1 or
hearing.
2 hearings in between. Why not take with
Take out
this
the holidays.
and run and just go? Why start over again? Unless you're just pleasing politics or something.
Yes, sir.
Chris, and in all fairness to Bob, it sounds like he asked you guys to create the bylaws, which you did, okay? And now he's asking to create a committee to
to get the pros and cons of the bylaw. And I'm assuming is, okay, and I shouldn't assume, okay, because Bob's not here to defend himself, but the thinking that, the way I'm thinking is that you've got a guideline to go by, you've got what you guys wrote up, now let other people look at it and give input one way or another before it gets out, and then go to the town, go to the meetings and do that. And I'm thinking that's where Bob is headed, but I don't know. So in all fairness, I think, you know, I'm with Jeff, we gotta give Bob a chance to
I'm sorry he isn't here.
give his
tonight,
view
but
on why he's asking for this.
He was
It
out,
could be also that he thought we hadn't started the work, but I don't know.
And I just-
yes, sir.
The other question I think the Energy Committee has is, should people that are plaintiffs on a suit be able to sit on that committee to be able to make that decision?
If you're just giving input, there's no decisions to be made.
That committee is not making any decision.
Town meeting makes.
Town meeting makes a decision.
Well, obviously.
There's simply
okay,
input, there's
Let
input.
me, okay,
Gathering
let me
input.
just- Let me, then I'll restate. Should people that are plaintiffs on a suit against the community be able to sit at the table and contribute input
On a bylaw.
on a bylaw? I mean, they can contribute all they want on town floor, but in that committee, when the process is being developed, is that a direction we want to go in?
My input from past experiences, you're better off to hear them in a meeting than on town hall floor, because it'll go on for days, okay? So you're better off to get input way ahead, you know where they're coming from, and you can plan for the meeting.
Isn't the hearing process, where that's done, I would think that's the proper way.
Dave?
If I were a selectman, and I'm not, and I don't want to be, what I would suggest is that you take a solar bylaw, as we've drafted it, and then put it through this process of hearings. People will come through and say what they want. The solar bylaw is in consonance with a whole lot of other towns that are out there. It covers all the things that they're concerned about. Their concerns are real, and I'm very sensitive to the fact that you shouldn't have to deal with something in your neighborhood right on top of you if you don't want to. And I don't know how you get that out of the equation here. Hearing it and talking about it in a meeting certainly helps people feel better about it. But I think the town now needs to have a solar bylaw. And you, as a group, need to grab a solar bylaw and say, this is what we're going to do. Let's have input. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Let's put it through several hearings, and then maybe we'll put it out for the town to deal with later on. It's a simple thing, maybe.
Again, we're only hearing one side, and we need to hear Bob's from the planning board side, because the planning board deals with the town bylaws and the planning bylaws, zoning bylaws.
Right.
So they initiate the whole program here, and then we attend the meetings like you do and everybody else.
I'm all
And,
for that, but I don't want us to miss the January 23rd deadlines. I want to see the town get a bylaw in place so we can do a proper installation of all the future solar that's going to go in town here, wherever there's places that can do it.
Just so you're aware, the January deadline is the proposed bylaw. If there's a proposed bylaw that's going to be on solar energy, then it's there, but you can modify it all the way up to town, within 2-3 weeks of town meeting.
Could we as a committee say, okay, let me try this, hang on.
Okay,
If we propose this and said, okay, this is what we want this to be in the town meeting and be a proposed energy solar bylaw. Can we do that as a separate thing? And that way you don't have you haven't done it, it's not been something that you've caused to happen.
I believe the planning board has a say on it.
I don't know.
Not
Well,
mistaken.
you could do
Well,
anything,
what
you could do anything by
for
petition, but
is-
that's not,
Right.
we're
that's
we're not
the way
going to
go.
avoid
Can I
dealing
just-
with this. Yes, Mr. Williams.
according to what I think I heard you say, what you're saying is January 23rd, you need the placeholder.
Right,
Placeholder.
that's
So
correct.
whether it comes from the planning board or whether it comes from someone else, all you need to know is because that actually helps us.
Yeah.
If by January, if we can put that in, or someone puts that in as a placeholder, then all of a sudden, we're not trying to get a committee formed, everybody
we
meeting
have
2 or 3, 4 times,
Schedule
then
with us.
have 1 or 2 hearings with the
No.
planning board and get that done before January. We all know, we've been doing this a long time, that's not possible.
It's the same thing as when you were on the board, Gerald.
Right,
It hasn't
so,
changed.
so technically, you can tell all the folks that really, by the end of
No,
March.
in January, we need the placeholder. We need to know what you're having
just
for an
the
article.
placeholder. Okay. So that would give the planning board really technically until what, end of March, probably?
I don't have our dates with us,
Yeah.
and I don't want to, we'll be
Yeah.
glad to get back.
End of our, end of
They are
March,
published,
middle
they've
of
been published for
April.
months, but I don't have it
Okay.
with me.
Usually it goes to the attorney the last week in March.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's what I was trying to, okay.
Look, just a couple points
That
for
actually
myself. One, I respect the work of the Energy Committee and what you've done, and it shows in the accomplishments. I mean, you've done a lot. No one's trying to disrespect your activity in this regard with respect to Mr. Bartlett's proposal. I also tend to agree, however, with Ed that at the end of the day, you're better off hearing from all sides, pro, con, whatever, up front, rather than at the end of the process.
oh yeah.
It doesn't mean you're going to get agreement, but you may get more buy-in than you otherwise would have. And the other point, finally back to Dave's point, I agree 1,000% that you need to start with a piece of paper on the table as opposed to a cold start and a blank sheet. You can frame, particularly some folks with expertise as you have, and you've done some research on it, you can frame up the issues based on the experience of other communities and give people something really substantive to bite on. And the final point is, we're not adopting a bylaw solely because of one particular project. As you've pointed out, and Chris has pointed out, this is a bylaw for the town. It has to be applicable across the board, not just to suit a particular set of circumstances.
I think we all agree.
I think we're all on the same page.
Okay, but I want to give Bob a shot at,
Sure.
all right,
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
Well,
You're all welcome to, I know you're excited about our meeting. Like to stay.
Well, that's what we're all set.
All right, but we'll defer this topic to,
I don't have
Time
anything
that
else.
Bob's
Do you have
coming.
anything else?
old business. PVTA response to transportation requests, anything on that?
No, actually, it's in the, I talked to the property manager over there on.
Okay,
And said, the town is not really interested in pursuing, a full-blown regional transportation here, but we are interested in trying to meet your needs, but we need to know,
Yeah.
more,
specifics as to
specifics of what your needs
what
are. So,
frequency,
Yeah.
what kind of volumes anticipated.
volumes, where these people coming
Okay.
from,
Yeah,
so.
so we could be more specific in our request to define it available.
Exactly.
Okay. The legal support to ZBA, this is on the solar farm. Are we hooking them up with town council? for
Yes,
whatever
well,
support they
yeah, I
need?
mean, I have talked to
Okay.
Bill O'Neill about it, and he said
Okay,
it's
and then
premature.
I'm just interested in how the land court works and what it is
Yeah,
we're supposed to do, who does what to whom ahead of that. Change village street addresses, have we resolved all that?
Yes, so that's resolved.
Okay, well, okay, was it just an aberration?
It was
It's not a-
well,
Misunderstanding. or
yeah,
something.
well, it was sort of a misunderstanding, but it was when the property changed hands and they renumbered, the deed didn't reflect the numbers. So they have to go by what's on the deed. So that's where the confusion was.
Okay,
So
so
it's-
it's
yes.
resolved, and Stanley, the building inspector?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Depot Road streetlights, there was a request from the
They were off.
company asking if we wanted to pick it up?
I
We
met
met
with-
you and,
Me and Tom Mosley took a look at it, and we determined that they're not needed.
okay, so
They've
it's
been
done.
off for a while because the
Okay,
homeowners
that's
have
fine.
left, so they're being removed.
Operating budget meeting schedule, working that now.
Yeah.
Ambulance abatements, the draft abatement criteria.
Yeah, I've struck out so far. My plan was to, there was a small town administrators meeting that I was planning
Yeah.
on going to and try and get some information at that meeting. I ended up not being able to go, but there is another one scheduled in November, which up in Irving. So I'm gonna see if I
Okay.
can make some headway on that.
Abatement reports for BOS action from July on. Remember, we were hung up on what Coastal was going to forward over to FFR, and FFR was either going to deal with or decide up front. Go ahead, you can go ahead and abatement. We're not even taking those.
Yeah,
or we
I
tried and we failed.
I haven't taken any action on that yet.
Okay, well, meanwhile, we haven't acted on any abatements in July. You're working a list of potential town meeting articles,
Yeah.
open Board of Selectmen actions, sweeper relocation from Center,
What relocation?
sweeper?
Oh, sweeper, I got
Sweeper.
that down here. I checked with Bill, and Bill said that last year they had the muster truck in the garage, they pushed it all the way to the back, and they had the two tractors in the front, or vice versa. And he said that's what was done the last couple of years, so he asked if that could be again this year, since it was that way last year, and, if we can get away with that.
I'll have to talk to Bill Young.
Okay.
I really don't know if that's.
Because
the
that's
case.
what was done the last couple of years, and that's what he stated. So he was asking to at least reconsider, and it would help them guys where they're gonna put that truck.
Okay, so Bill's going to get with,
I'll ask Bill Young if that was the case, yes.
all right. PVPC drafted grant request for Center School. He's working on that, maybe here next week.
I'll check in with him.
Okay.
See where we're at.
We should have, for the Board of Selectmen review, whatever's going to be presented on 14 November at that master plan hearing that
Yes.
the planning board's going to conduct.
Mm-hmm.
So could you please round that up in advance? I don't want to be reading it for the first time
Okay.
we show up at the meeting.
At least give us some kind of a
Well, we ought
Copy
to see what,
of what the proposals are and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so we can do some homework here.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause what is the date on that one?
14th of November,
November 14th, yeah.
which is racing toward us. And we're waiting on the town accountant's plan of action on the audit.
I've scheduled
Okay.
a meeting
Good.
on the 13th with him.
We already talked about performance discussions. We're going to get a report card. There's some other issues on accounting we need to come back to, and we'll do that later. Energy plan update, we talked here. Cable hire, again, it's contingent on the contract.
Yep.
Okay.
Jeff, what I'd like to see is, and it worked before when I was chair last year, a list of the items to be done attached to the,
Yeah, we already had that.
yeah, but I mean, it should be with our
Working list.
package. And that way we can review it on a week, a meeting
Yeah.
basis. And that way, the new stuff that was done today can be added to the list, and we can make sure that it's been completed, and, instead of skipping we could skip it
Oops,
during
jeez,
the meeting if we're getting late, but at least we can see exactly what's
Yeah,
what's been
I started.
forwarded on.
I started one. Some of these are, they're the same things that Jeff had on his
Louise's
list.
retirement, thanks. That's another thing we don't want to let go here.
Yeah. Some of these are more like reminders to myself.
Need a
Okay, but the things
Social.
that we vote
Yeah,
during
I
our meeting
understand.
should go
Yeah.
automatically on the to-do
I-
list.
Oh, one thing I do want to mention on this.
What's the change of the name of Plain Road?
I had a woman come in to see me, and she said, when is the town going to change the name of Plain Road? This is up near CNS.
Yes.
There's some talk about that some time ago, I don't know when.
The building,
Because If we change the name of it, then it would get changed, the name would change in GPS and that,
Yes.
and it would alleviate theoretically a lot of the truck problem.
That's what Stanley, the building inspector, had proposed that. That was one of the proposals that he had, just to change that short piece from Route 5
Yeah.
to the railroad tracks and rename it instead
Yeah.
of Plain Road, whatever you want to name it, different
Yeah,
name.
CNS Road
And that
or
way the
whatever.
GPS would bring you down Route 5 directly
Yeah.
to there. And that's what the game plan was, to alleviate a lot of the traffic throughout the whole town, and the GPS would bring you directly to there. So that's the reason for it.
Yeah.
And if you would kindly talk to Stanley to find
Okay.
out where he's at with that, if he wants us to bring it before town meeting, we'll put an article in to change the road to whatever.
Okay.
Okay, Industrial Drive or whatever, I don't care what it is. It doesn't
Okay.
matter to me.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, is CNS, I haven't looked at their literature. What is their address?
Plain Road.
Is it Plain Road?
Yeah.
So they have to go change all their documentation, all their publication. It's not,
Maybe we should,
It's not
maybe you
a-
should contact or have Stanley why don't you contact CNS
CNS.
and find
yeah.
out
So I guess
all
if
their
we can
business
alleviate
cards.
the
nobody's,
problem. by
nobody's
doing-
ever actually talked to them about this, I guess.
Right, this
what you're
is
telling me.
something that was
Okay.
discussed, and
Okay.
we really need to look into it before we go and put it on
Yeah, I
the
mean,
on the
I've,
town
you
meeting.
know, in my short tenure here, I've had quite a few people come in my office, you know, regarding this issue, so, you know, it's not gonna go away
And it's
anytime
to
soon.
alleviate the traffic going down Plain Road,
Yeah.
off of Chestnut Street, the traffic, the trailer trucks are coming in and trying to make the curves, and
Yeah.
Well,
it's a mess throughout the town.
not to Tim it here today, but, you know, even if you change the segment, if it shows it's tied to Plain Road, you may still well have people coming down Plain Road to get to Industrial Drive or whatever it's named. So it, not an easy answer.
I know
No.
that, okay, but
Okay.
it's a nightmare for us,
Mm.
that's for sure. And the people's property getting damaged by tractor trailers turning around on their lawns and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff happening here.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of stories.
Any other old business?
No.
Any new business?
I think that's all I have. Oh, one more thing. We've got woman Sarah Schultz from Church Avenue that wants to volunteer on committees.
Oh, yeah.
She's stating that she's interested in environmental and school issues and local government as well. So it might be something that we have an opening on and that she could look at.
I can give her a call.
Good, okay.
Other than that,
Any new
I don't
business?
have anything else. No new business. And do we want to do executive session?
Well, I have a question. Can we go into executive session on this matter?
I
Under what
believe so.
basis?
Yeah,
It's
I
not
think
a
it,
matter
I
of
think there's-
litigation.
I think it is pending litigation.
Oh, all right, if it is,
I think.
Well, the suit has been filed against the town of Hatfield.
no, we're
No,
talking
this is
about
on another issue.
another matter.
Oh, okay.
Are we anticipating litigation? Is that,
Well, there's rumor to that effect.
Well,
Alright.
there's no,
do we have
if there is-
the cheat sheet?
Yeah.
Just a second. I think it's exemption 3.
which one,
I didn't bring my sheet.
I'm trying to think.
Or maybe I did here.
Oh.
I did bring it, sorry.
Hold
I move that the Board of Selectmen convene in executive session to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation, given an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or the litigating position of the Board of Selectmen, and the chair so declares.
I'll second that motion.
Lesko second. All in favor?
Lesko, aye.
Boyle, aye. And the board will not return to open session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen.